taking prasadam know that there's something here they can come to when they're finishing? So Srila Rupa Goswami tells us that the most important thing in Krishna consciousness is to always what? Yes, always remember Krishna and never forget him. And that's also, Krishna tells Arjuna, is the essence of yoga practice. Because Krishna talks to Arjuna in the 6th chapter about doing Astanga yoga or Dhyan yoga. And then Arjuna says, this is very difficult. He says, Chanchala himana Krishna, my mind is very flickering. And what if I fail? And then Krishna at the end says there, Yogi namapi sarvesham magaten antaratamna shravam bhajate yomam samayutetamo mataha. The main yogi is someone, he says, who's always thinking of me. So now you might imagine that right after Krishna says that, he's going to start saying, well, think of me in Vrindavan, playing with my friends and playing the flute. But he doesn't. He talks to Arjuna about how to think of him in this world, with the things that we see and interact with in the world. And the same thing happens in chapter 8, when Krishna says that we become, in our next life, whatever we're absorbed in this life. You all know that verse? Yam yam bhapisram bhavam prajachante kalevram tantameva tikanteya saratadbhava bhavita. And so again, you think that right after that, Krishna would say, well, go to the Himalayas or go sit at Radhakund and just meditate. But he doesn't. He says, Mam anusmar yujacha, think of me while you're fighting. So to always be absorbed in Krishna, we want to be absorbed in Krishna by having everything in our life and everything in the world act as an impetus, or what's called in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu an udipana, a stimulus for meditating on Krishna. There's a talk that Srila Prabhupada gave in Tokyo, where one young man, the verses that we'll be covering, the Shastra from Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas, about what happens when you always do what we're going to be talking about in today's class. And in one of these, Srila Prabhupada says that if we think like this, there'll be no more material world. And he says it 3 times. There'll be no material world, there'll be no material, says everything is spiritual. So we're going to embark on this journey to see everything spiritually. We're going to be looking at chapters 7, 9, 10, and 15 from the Bhagavad Gita, how Krishna tells us to see him in the world. So as we go through this, I'd like to ask each of you, if at all possible, to take some notes, paper, phone, whatever. And at the end of the class, I'm going to ask you to let me know which of these you're going to be meditating on in the next week. So pick 1, 2, or 3 of these items that we're going through that you say, oh, that's something I'd really like to do. And then I'm going to ask everyone to let me know. By the way, at the end of this presentation, we have a special surprise. We have a special film at the end here. So, okay, you ready? All right. Chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. So here Krishna says that he is Om. And actually, he says this 3 times. So you know that this whole creation was created by sound. And that sound was Om. And the scientists tell us that something that looks like solid matter, like this microphone, actually the atoms and the molecules are moving. And when there's movement, there's sound. And really, this Om is vibrating everywhere. Well, Krishna is not only Om, but he's all sounds. There's one lecture where Srila Prabhupada says that if you don't want to meditate on Krishna in the Hare Krishna mantra, you can meditate on him in all the sounds. I hear some cars, some people talking. It's a challenge, huh? If you think all these sounds I'm hearing, that's all Krishna. And I like to meditate on this because I like challenges. And so, you know, hearing all the different sounds and thinking, how is this Krishna? How is this Krishna? I am the seed. So, of course, bhakti is compared to a seed. This is also something Krishna says 3 times, that he is the seed. So Guru plants the seed of bhakti in the heart. It gradually grows up through the material world until it bears fruits and flowers at the lotus feet of the Lord. And he is righteous romance. Whenever we see married couples who are dealing with each other with love and affection and raising their children in Krishna consciousness, that is Krishna. When we use our strength to protect others, to care for others, when we see others using their strength like that, that is Krishna. The heat in fire. So it is a little cool in this room, but there's still heat, yes? There'd have to be some heat or we would all die. Can you become aware of the heat in this room? I heard one scientist say once that the universe is a cold, impersonal machine, but that's not true. We can feel Krishna's heat. When something is alive, it's warm. When something is loving, it's warm. When we become aware of the heat in the world, we can feel that Krishna is alive and full of love. The original fragrance of the earth. There's one class where Srila Prabhupada says that even if you don't study the scriptures and you don't have a guru, you can find God in the fragrance of a flower. And how amazing is it that from the same sun and the same dirt and the same water, how is it we get frangipani and rose, and you get gardenias and mogra, so many different scents that are coming out of the same earth. How does he do that? The penances of all ascetics. So what is penance? Penance is we've done something wrong, and we try to put things back into balance. And an ascetic is somebody whose life is dedicated to putting everything back into balance. Krishna says something very astonishing. Lord Vishnu says something very astonishing to Lord Brahma. You know, in the Bhagavatam, there's 4 essential verses, the Chatur Sloki. Why are we have ladies sitting over there where they can't see what I'm doing? Oh, why don't you move your operation over so you can see the screen? So when Lord Vishnu is speaking the Bhagavatam in 4 essential verses, right before that, he says, Tapo me hridayam sakshad. Tapo me hridayam sakshad. Penance is directly my heart. And then he says, Atmaham tapaso. Atma aham. Myself is penance. Penance is my heart. My very self is penance. At its most essential level, penance is a genuine apology. Is that easy or hard? What would you say? Hard. About a year or so ago, one devotee made a post on social media. My seniors asked me to write a genuine apology. So if any of you are so sensitive that you were offended by what I wrote before, I'm so sorry for that. Whenever we are putting things back into balance, whenever we are letting go of our false ego, right? The real austerity is not fasting on Ekadasi. The real austerity is letting go of our false ego. Actually accepting humility. That is the ultimate penance. And that is Krishna himself. The life of all that lives. Can we become aware right now of our aliveness? Can we feel that we are alive? That sense, I'm alive. And now to become aware that everyone in this room also has that sense of aliveness. And of course, we go outside, the plants, the animals, everything is full of aliveness. And that sense, that life of all that lives is Krishna. Our intelligence. So all of us have some intelligence. We all do intelligent things sometimes, right? I remember when I was 10 and I was supposed to do a project for school. I wanted to do a puppet show. And so I made some puppets, but I made 3 puppets. I couldn't figure out how to manipulate the 3rd puppet with only 2 hands. And anyway, I worked out this scheme so I could do it with my toe. And I was like, woo, I did something so smart. Right? You know that feeling when you do something and you're like, whoa, that was smart? That's Krishna. prowess, tejaha. Prowess is skilled strength. Skilled strength. When we're doing something strong that requires some skill, some tejas, some potency, that is Krishna. The light of the sun. This is something he says also 3 times. So we don't see any sunlight in this room. We have just some artificial light. Of course, this artificial light is also ultimately getting light from the sun. And how often do we take the sun for granted? Right? We just walk, oh, there's sunlight. Yeah. But to become aware, those little particles of sunlight, right? They dissipate our fear. They give us certainty. They gives us knowledge, gives us clarity. That is Krishna. And the light of the moon, lighting our way on the dark, right? Glowing beautifully. That is Krishna. And our ability. This is a very easy one to meditate on because we're always using some ability. Right now we're using inability to sit, to hear, to see. You can try wiggling your toes. How do you do that? How do I wiggle my fingers, my toes? How am I doing that? That's Krishna. And we're always using some ability. And people around us, when they're using some ability, that is Krishna. So this was one of Srila Prabhupada's favorites. Do any of you have water with you? Anybody here have water? If you have water, can you get out your water? Get out your water. If anybody has a water bottle, take out your water. And can we take a drink? You have water? I see there's water right there. Or something else? Yeah, take out your water. Well, something else will do too. Any liquid. Prabhupada said this applies to any liquid. And try taking a little drink. That's Krishna. And so we read an incredible verse recently where Prabhupada said, Raso Vaisa, Krishna is rasa. He is the personification of rasa. And then right after that, he said, Rasoham absukonteya. Krishna is the personification of rasa, and we can taste this rasa in water. Of course, Prabhupada says this applies to any liquid. Orange juice, mango juice, milk. Anytime we're taking any liquid. I just got a wonderful message from one devotee who was in one of these classes, and he said that he was going on his way to work. He was standing by his car, seeing the light of the sun, drinking his hot herbal tea, heat and fire, taste of water, light of the sun, and he said, I felt so connected with Krishna. So that's chapter 7. Now we're looking at chapter 9. Krishna says he is the ritual. So we have so many rituals in Krishna consciousness. Of course, even in daily life, we have so many rituals. Just like when I visit my oldest son's house, he said, we don't put wooden spoons in the dishwashing machine. And he won't put measuring cups that have like writing on them, right? And when we unload the dishwashing machine, we have to put the plates over here and the cups over here. And then when I visit my youngest son, he does put wooden items and measuring cups with writing on it in the dishwashing machine. And he puts his clean plates over here and his clean cups over here. So these different rituals are indicative of person's desires. Similarly, these various rituals that we execute are indicative of Krishna's desire, and Krishna and his desire are the same. And he says he is yajna. So not just the rituals that make up the yajnas, but the yajnas. So yajnas are celebratory ceremonies to connect with the Lord. Just like if you want to connect with your friend. Let's say I want to connect with my daughter who's in America on the East Coast, so I need to have this little ceremony that I do. Right? I need to have a phone. It has to have a charge. It has to be on a network. I have to put in the right number. It's got to be the right time. I don't want to call her when it's 1 in the morning, her time. Right? So similarly with doing yajnas, they have to be done at the right time, the right ritual, the right way, in order to make a proper connection. We have examples in the Bhagavatam. Someone says just one little word wrong, right? And they get some demon instead of what they desired. So we have these different ceremonies that again are indicative of Krishna's way of wanting to connect. Just like some people, they want to connect with me on WhatsApp, some people on Messenger, some people by email, some people on SMS. So Krishna has these ways of connection. and the offering to the ancestors. So Krishna is very pleased when we respect the elders in our family and when we continue traditions that keep up pious culture. And the healing herb. I think I have with me some herbal cough drops. Yes, I do. And my throat was bothering me. So let's see. Okay. This has your famous Manuka honey, and it has eucalyptus and peppermint. That's Krishna. You know, when you feel sick, something's wrong, and you take some herbs, that potency in the herbs, and even a lot of modern pharmaceuticals come from plants or synthesize chemicals from plants, and that potency to heal is Krishna. The transcendental chant. So if Krishna is all sounds, certainly he is the sound of his holy name. Not only the ritual and the yajna, but all the ingredients, the butter, the fire, the offering, all of that is Krishna. I wonder if he's the mridanga and the kartals too. The ingredients of our Sankirtan yajna. And he's the Father. So all religions accept God as the Father. So all of us have fathers. I hope you have good relationships with your fathers. Maybe many of you here are fathers. Every day we're interacting with fathers. And if we take, what is the ideal father? Someone who provides for the financial well-being, educational well-being, nutrition, right? Friends, play, everything for their children. I still have people there who can't see the screen. Why are you over there? You can? Oh, okay. So if you take that ideal father and you would multiply him by billions of times, that would give you some idea of what is Krishna. But he also says that he's the mother. So our bodies grow inside the mother, inside our mother's body. They're nourished by our mother's body. Similarly, we all grow and are nourished by the body of the Lord. And just like a mother will love her children, even if the children go bad, isn't it? Yes. So even if we act in ways that are evil, Krishna never stops loving us. He never stops caring about us. And I am the support. So what supports us? We talk about our job like that. How do you support yourself? Our work we do, our buildings support us. Maybe our families help support us, our community, our strength, our learning, our education, our talents. But all of those can crumble, can't they? Yeah, all of those supports can crumble. Yeah, Krishna never crumbles. And he's the grandfather. So we're all in Krishna's dynasty, Achyuta Gotra, we'll say. And just like Prabhupada says, the grandfather is more affectionate than the father, so Krishna is very affectionate. And the object of knowledge, I was reading how one scientist said that when he studied a little bit of science, he became an atheist, but when he studied a lot of science, he became a theist. Whenever we study anything properly, then there we will find Krishna. The purifier. We do so many things to become purified. We take a bath, we wash our clothes, we clean our house, we try to eat properly, maybe we take different herbs and vitamins, we see different doctors, maybe we go to see therapists. But the active principle in all of these things to purify us is Krishna. Without Krishna, none of them would actually purify us. And again he says he is Om. And we might think, well, this is very simple. One little syllable, Om. How can that be God? So Lord Brahma made this mistake. You have this painting there. Right? When Lord Brahma took the cowherd boys and the calves from Krishna, because he thought, oh, Krishna is just a little boy. He's sitting with his friends. He has food in his left hand. He has yogurt and rice and fruit salad in his left hand coming out from between his fingers. And his friends, when they want to give him something to eat, they don't do a ritual with mantras. They just say, here, take a pakora, right? And then they say to Krishna, there's a monkey. And Krishna looks away, and they take the samosas, and they take the veggies out and they put in flowers, you know. And so Lord Brahma has seen this and he's thinking, how can this be God? In the same way we may think, oh, Om, how is that God? I am the goal. So Srila Prabhupada says that if our mind is disturbed, it means we don't have an ultimate goal. When we make proper goals, we set them, we work for them, we achieve them. That is Krishna. I am the sustainer. What sustains us? Water, air, food, temperature. On a social level, our friends and families, our community. But that is really just Krishna working through all of those to sustain us. I am the master. How many of you have ever had a really good boss? Anybody ever had a really good boss? Anybody? It's always a minority. So when you have a really good boss, you can just relax and do your own work. If you've got a good master. I mean, I know the whole concept of master isn't very attractive in 2024. But you can think about, you know, if you have little children, 2, 3, 4-year-old children, and you put them in a car seat and you put them in the car and you're driving and they don't know where you're going. They don't know what's going on, but they're just peaceful because they're thinking, my mommy's driving, my daddy's driving. I know who's driving. Similarly, when we know Krishna's driving, then we can be peaceful. I am the witness. So we might not like this one. We might think, oh, Krishna's always watching. It's not like that. So you can do an experiment. So tonight you can go to someone who loves you, genuinely loves you, and you can say, I'd like to talk to you for 2 hours about everything I did today. What do you think? Yeah, exactly. But Krishna cares. He cares about everything I think, feel, do, not only in this life, but eternally. I am the abode. So how do we feel when we go home? Right? I can relax. I can be my authentic self. So Krishna's everywhere, and we can always relax in him and be our true self. This is a nice thing to remember whenever we go home. Whenever you go back to your home or your room, wherever you stay, and you just walk in the door and yes, just like that. Krishna's the abode. And he's the refuge. So there's many places. One of them is Bhagavatam 3:21-17. But in many places, Srila Prabhupada compares Krishna to an umbrella. Whenever we use an umbrella for the rain, for the sun, Krishna is like this umbrella. He is the refuge. And Krishna says he's the most dear friend. So I hope all of you have at least one friend. Yeah? What is a friend? Someone we feel some sense of equality with. Someone I have their back, they have mine. I'm going to be there for them when they need it. They're going to be there for me. We do fun things together. That sense of camaraderie. And if you multiply that to infinity, that is Krishna. Creation and annihilation. So we are fascinated both by creation and by destruction. Just like little children, what do they like to do? They knock it over. Yes? There's this one lady who makes her living from building block towers and filming herself knocking them over. You know, she does it in some fancy way, like dominoes, you know, like you hit the first one and then there are these fancy things, and she's able to get advertisers and people pay to watch this because we're fascinated, right? Construction site or a demolition site, because that's Krishna. Basis of everything. So secularism means when we tell the story of our life or the story of the world without reference to Krishna, without reference to God. But actually through all of our joys and our sorrows, our tragedies, our victories, our hopes, our dreams, our fulfillment, our disappointment, through everything in our life, Krishna is the basis. The resting place. I really liked getting these pictures. This is something I think about whenever I go to sleep at night. As soon as I lie in the bed, Krishna is the resting place. Actually, Krishna is everywhere, and we can always rest in him. We have not only physical resting places, but sometimes mental resting places where we can just relax. And Krishna is the ultimate rejuvenation and restoration Again, he says he's the seed. So, of course, practically in every human society, the main staple food is seeds. Wheat, rice, oats, barley, millet, buckwheat, and our beans and our legumes. Many of our spices are seeds. That is the concentrated energy of the plant. And next time you eat a chapati or some rice or some dal, Krishna is this concentrated energy. You know, there's this wonderful story about Narada Muni seeing a shoemaker, and the shoemaker said to him, where have you come from, Narada Muni? And he said, I have come from Lord Narayana. And he said, oh, what was the Lord doing? And Narada said, what was the Lord doing? Do you know? Do you know? It was something that had to do with the seed. You're right. But does anyone know what it was? Yeah. It was putting an elephant through the eye of... Wow. And Narada said, why not? He said, if he can take a banyan tree and put it inside a little seed, why can't he put an elephant through the eye of Eden? I give heat. When we hang up our clothes in the sun, it dries because the heat is making the molecules dance. And the water molecules are dancing off our clothes into the air. When we're cooking, the heat of the stove is making the molecules of our food dance and changing the texture and the flavor of the food, releasing its juices. Similarly, whenever we come in front of Krishna, we want to dance, and our flavor gets enhanced and our hearts melt. I withhold and send forth the rain. Sometimes you see a cloud in the distance, and you can see it's raining in one place, and right next to it it's not. You've all seen that? I think I was about 10 years old. We were driving, and it was raining just on our side of the road, like right down that center line. On the other side, it was dry, and I was so fascinated by this as a child. I said, how does the rain know where the line is in the road? When our oldest son was about 1.5, we were living in a temple ashram, and there was a sink in the corridor, and he would take a container, and he'd go up to the sink, and he'd wait for some devotee to come by, and then he'd hold up his container, and he'd say, water, water, water. And so, of course, people would give him water. So what is a 1-year-old going to do with a container of water? Yes. And then what would he do in it? He'd play in it. And then the devotees would say to me, Urmila, why are you giving your son water to play with? I said, I'm not giving him water, you're giving him water. They said, but he comes up to us and goes, water, water. I said, you know, you have to know when to turn on the tap, and you have to know when to turn off the tap. So Krishna's like that. He knows when to turn on the tap and when to turn off the tap. Immortality and death. So we are all afraid of death because death means the end of this particular persona into which we have invested so much of our energy. There used to be a drama we would perform at the Sunday feast called The Wrong Bank Account. You know how you can put money into someone else's account if you know the number? Right? So in this drama, this guy was working, and whenever he would get paid, he would put some of the money into the bank, but he was putting it into the wrong account. And so when he went to withdraw it from his own account, there was nothing there. So generally in our life, we're putting so much time and energy into this body, this mind, our relationships, our education, our jobs, or this or that, all of which are external and temporary. Yes? And therefore we fear death. Because death is everything's finished. All of the possessions we've accumulated, all the education, all the relationships, all these things that we've accumulated, finished. And so we're very frightened of death. But Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a cat. He says a cat, the mother cat, when she wants to move her kittens, she carries them in her mouth. And when she's killing a rat, she also carries it in her mouth. So the kitten feels security and the rat feels fear. If we know that it's Krishna who's coming, we're like the baby kitten instead of like the rat, then we will not be afraid of death. And we know that on the other side of death is immortality. Na hanyate hanyamane shariram. I am eternal. I actually do not die. Okay, we've looked at chapter 7 and 9. Now we're going to look at chapter 10. Beginning, middle, and end. When we're babies, when we're youth, when we're middle-aged, when we're old. And again he says, of lights I am the sun. So you know, the sunlight is transformed to plants. We eat those plants, it transforms into our body. Our body is actually, ultimately, a transformation of sunlight. And actually everything here is just, the scientists say this as well, everything is transformed sunlight. That's an interesting thing to meditate on, right? All of our bodies are transformations of sunlight. Among stars, I am the moon. When we see the moon surrounded by stars, I saw this a couple nights ago. There was the moon, right next to the moon was Venus, and there was Mercury. And we can think of how Krishna sits surrounded by his cowherd boys to take prasadam, or how he's dancing surrounded by the cowherd girls. Of senses, I am the mind. So for we yogis, we may think of the mind as primarily troublesome. But Srila Prabhupada remarks that there's nothing we can think, feel, and desire that is outside the range of Krishna's energy. When we understand that, then we can think directly of Krishna and understand that he is present in our mind, the master of our senses. The living force or consciousness. Can we stop and become aware that we are aware? We are aware of where our ears are. We are aware of where our toes are. Even with our eyes closed, we have an awareness of how much space is behind us, to the sides of us, and in front of us. And everyone else in this room is similarly aware. The world is full of awareness or consciousness. That awareness is Krishna. Of all the Rudras, I am Shiva. So one of my godbrothers, he's now retired, but he had a job as a physician in the maximum security prison for the criminally insane. Imagine having that as your job. That's Lord Shiva's job. He's taking care of all the criminally insane beings in the universe. Out of compassion. Out of compassion. And he is, of course, a changed expansion of Krishna, like yogurt from milk. I am the sea. So if you're in Sydney, you're always seeing the sea. Huh? So deep, so vast, apparently simple, but full of so many varieties of life. Similarly, Krishna is very deep, vast, and although appearing simple, he's full of so many pastimes and qualities and relationships. And again, he says he is Om. So Srila Jiva Goswami explains what Srila Prabhupada quotes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that the is Krishna, the is Radha, and the the Anushwar, is all of us, the living entities. Here he says of all of the yajnas, he is especially the chanting of his names. So Krishna says he's all yajna, but especially his names. Why? Because for these other yajnas, you have to be very careful. We were saying that, right? The right time, the right place. You have to say the mantra exactly right. If you say instead of who knows what you're going to get coming out of the fire, right? But with the holy name, you can chant silently in your mind, quietly, loudly, by yourself, in a group, when you're clean, when you're dirty, in your home, in your car, anywhere, anytime, every place. There's no hard and fast rules. One can immediately connect with Krishna everywhere. Of immovable things, I am the Himalayas, so we don't see any Himalayas around here. You have hills, certainly. Okay? But Krishna, like these huge mountains of stone, Krishna is immovable in his affection for us, in his desire to bring us to enlightenment. And the banyan trees, so you do have banyan trees here in Sydney. Right? Have you ever seen any really big ones? Like the really, really big banyan trees? You know, you can't really tell where they begin and where they end, and they're spreading everywhere, like Krishna. He is the monarch. People are still fascinated with monarchy. I'm not quite sure why in 2024 so many people watch the coronation of King Charles. And if people like that are fascinating, how much more fascinating is Krishna, the King of Kings? And he's lightning. He's the thunder and the lightning as the ultimate weapon. So sometimes we feel confused or sad, doubtful, and then Krishna comes in our consciousness as this lightning bolt of understanding and dissipates all of our difficulty. He is the Surabi cows. So Surabi cows give unlimited milk and whatever you desire. Just like Krishna, Eko Bhaktinam Yo Vidadati Kaman, filling everyone's desires. And there are many reasons that people have children, but Krishna says of all of those reasons, he is the love and affection between the husband and the wife. And he says he is Yamaraj. Sometimes we see that apparently good people suffer and apparently bad people enjoy, but we know beyond everything there is Yamaraj and there is ultimate justice. Among subduers I am time. Time wears away everything, right? Our bodies, our home, our relationships. All right, thank you. Right. Everything we have is going to be worn down by time. But if I relate to Krishna in this moment, 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 I will not feel that anything is being subdued by time. The lion, when the lion roars, all the other animals run away. Similarly, when Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, all the atheists and the demons, they run far away. The wind, purifying everything. You know what your clothes smell like, right? When you hang them up outside, that really fresh smell. And if you have some musty room and you open up the windows and you air it out, everything feels fresh and purified. Parasaram, rooting out corruption in government. Whenever we find anyone who's rooting out corruption among leadership or government, that is some of the potency of Parasaram. And among fishes, he is the Makara. So there's no English translation for Makara. You can see Ganga riding on a Makara. Of course, Krishna likes to wear Makara earrings, and sometimes he has Makaras at the end of his flute, or bracelets that are joined with Makaras. So Prabhupada translates this usually as shark. Sometimes he translates it as dolphin, and sometimes as crocodile. These great beasts of the sea. And he is the Ganges, he is Mother Ganga, the spiritual water from beyond the universe that came from the piercing of Vamandev's toe, Padanakaniya Janita Janapavana, and by the prayers of Bhagirat down to this earth to purify all of us. The beginning, the middle of the end. So the top of the sandwich, the middle of the sandwich, the bottom of the sandwich. The planning for the festival, the enjoying the festival, the cleanup after the festival, the start of the journey, the destination, the coming home. The science of the self. So who is the self? Do you know Srila Rupa Goswami says that we have most of the qualities of God? To a minute degree, but we're very small, so that's okay. So what kind of qualities do we have? We're all beautiful, youthful. We're all geniuses. We're all effulgent. Krishna says in the 6th chapter, text 20, that when we understand ourself, we will relish and rejoice in the self. We'll think, there's nothing greater than this. We won't be disturbed by anything, and will always be situated in truth. That science of knowing ourself is Krishna. And then he says he is Vada. Vada means discussions where you're trying to find conclusive truth. When you're having a discussion with someone where everyone parks their ego at the door with the shoes and just simply is looking for truth, and those are wonderful, aren't they? Those kind of discussions, that's really the Tushanti Chara, Manti Chara, where we feel satisfied and happy. But then there's other kind of discussions. There's jalpa. Jalpa is you're not looking for conclusive truth. Jalpa is when you're trying to win. So for many weeks I was having a discussion with one friend, and I said, "What do you want?" And she said, "I want you to tell me that I am right." That's jalpa. Then there's vitanda. Vitanda, you're not looking for truth. You're not looking to be right. You're just trying to make the other person wrong. So vada is when you're looking for truth. Jalpa is when you're trying to be victorious. Vitanda is when you're trying to simply defeat the other party. So we should ourselves initiate and participate in vada, which is Krishna. And he is the letter A. Can you say this? A. You notice you're not using your tongue, your lips, your teeth. This basic sound of A, it is the basic sound of all language. Inexhaustible time. Our good times come and our good times go, but Krishna is always there. Yes? And if we are dedicating everything to him, if we're always aware of him as time, then we're always happy. This is something to remember when you look at your watch, when you look at your phone, when you're trying to make an appointment, you're telling someone your ETA. Krishna is this inexhaustible time. All-devouring death. Not only the death of this body, this identity, but all the little deaths. The death of a residence, of an education, of a job, of a relationship, of a project, of an idea. All those little deaths are Krishna. When Vamandev went to Bali Maharaj to beg charity, and Sukracharya said, "Don't give anything," Bali said, "Why shouldn't I give to the Lord everything that he will take anyway at the time of death?" So my mother had this philosophy. She gave away almost all of her possessions in her last year of life. She said, better to give with a warm hand than a cold hand. So if we do like this, all these things that are going to end, if we always give them to Krishna, Krishna, my relationship with my spouse, my children, my body, my home, my family, my job, my possessions, all of these things, Manasa Geha Deha Yoga Chimura, all of these things, they are already yours. Then when Krishna takes them, they're already his. We've already given them to him. And there's no sting in death. This is a fun one. The start before the start. So you know how sometimes you get a relationship or a job or something and you realize, oh, this actually started before. Yes, this actually started 2 months ago when I read that book. Or it started 3 years ago when I met that person. Or it started then when I went to that place. But at the time, I didn't know. I didn't know that was the start. The start before the start. That's Krishna. Among women, he's famous. There's so many famous women, Sita, Draupadi, Gandhari. Women who are famous for their dharma and their good qualities. That is Krishna. And he is Shri. Shri is like splendid, sparkly beauty. This sparkly beauty of women, that is Krishna. And Vak, fine speech. So in Bhagavatam 9.5.7 it's stated that Sudarshan is the master of speech. And if we think about Sudarshan in speech, what is good speech? Like Sudarshan, it cuts through ignorance, it illuminates, it enlightens, it purifies. When women speak like that, that is Krishna. Among women, I am memory. Prabhupada commenting says this kind of memory is you can read books and not only remember them, but understand them and apply them. This is something that women are particularly good at, and that is Krishna. And Krishna says he is Meda among women. Do any of you know the verse about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that uses the word Meda? Sumeda Saha. Those who have good Meda, those who have Sumeda, beautiful Meda, they will engage in Sankirtan. In the third verse of Teachings of Queen Kunti, Srila Prabhupada says that generally speaking, women outnumber men at religious functions. I think that's true tonight. He says because they have a simple intelligence of wanting to surrender to the Lord. So this basic intelligence of women to surrender to the Lord and join in the Sankirtan movement, that is Krishna. And he is steadfastness among women. When women are chaste and faithful and fixed in their vows, that is Krishna. And patience. Okay, how many of you ladies here are mothers? How many mothers do we have here? Okay, do you have to be patient with your children? Yeah. I tell people you have 3 choices. Patience, madness, or give them away. Right? That's it. Now the guys can't listen to this, but you ladies, do you also have to be patient with your husbands? Yeah, don't tell them that. So this patience is Krishna. And he is, among poems, he is the Gayatri. Those of us who chant Gayatri 3 times a day, that is God in the form of a poem. Now this one I don't think applies in this part of the world. I think this is a northern hemisphere thing. So in the northern hemisphere, November and December is the harvest season. And every culture has some kind of harvest festival. What's our Gaudiya Vaishnava harvest festival? Oh, you're southern hemisphere people. In November, December, what's our Gaudiya Vaishnava harvest festival? Huh? No, it's too late. No? Govardhan Puja. Yeah. In the northern hemisphere, Vasant Panchami is the spring. That's this one. So Krishna says he's the spring. But you do have a winter here, yeah? Yeah, when I was in Indonesia, this one didn't work because they don't have any spring. It's just always the same temperature all year long, right? But here you have a winter, and after the cold and the dark of the winter, when the leaves come out on the trees and the flowers are blooming, right? And it's beautiful and it's fragrant and you can start planting things. The youthfulness of the seasons is Krishna. And the gambling of cheats, what a funny thing. Right? So usually if we get cheated, we don't know up front that we're being cheated. We think it's a nice person and then our bank account's empty, what happened. But with gambling, it's up front. Right? Someone says, okay, let's sit at the table and I'll get out the cards and I'm going to try to cheat you. And you go, oh, very nice. Very strange form of cheating. Of the splendid, I am the splendor. The wow factor in anything. So Srila Rupa Goswami calls this Adbhuta Ras. And Srila Rupa Goswami says that this Adbhuta Ras, this wow factor, must be present anytime we are enjoying anything. There has to be some degree of wow. And that is Krishna. Victory. How do we feel when we're victorious? Woohoo! That's Krishna. Adventure. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that we should see our whole life as an adventure with Krishna. When you're on an adventure, do you know how it's going to turn out? No. Right? But it's full of excitement. Now, before Krishna said that he was the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire, but now he says he's everybody's strength. Doesn't matter whose strength. So, what did Hiranyakashipu ask Prahlad about strength? No? Well, that was a little later. What did Hiranyakashipu ask Prahlad about strength? Yes! Where do you get your superhuman power from? And what did Prahlad say? Yes, at the same place you do, Father. From God. He is punishment if we feel safe walking down the street because criminals are being punished. That is Krishna. This one is interesting. We don't always win life's battles. Sometimes we lose. But have you ever lost a battle in life, but you kept your principles, you kept your integrity, you didn't compromise? Didn't that feel like a kind of victory? You said, I didn't get what I wanted, but I never compromised. That ultimate victory is Krishna. Silence. So Prabhupada writes in his purport, which is 1138, he says, among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important because by silence, one can make progress very quickly. So often we're anxious to talk to Krishna, but we should also be anxious to hear him. He is our wisdom, our inspiration, our insight. And now he says he's the seed of everything. Not only the seeds that we eat in our rotis and rice, but also the seeds of our projects, our ideas, our programs, our relationships, our jobs, our learning. This is a wonderful one. I really like to meditate on this. Whenever I see anything wonderful, this world is full of so many wonderful, amazing things. But even if you put all of the wonderful things together, not only in this world, but in this whole universe, that would be only a tiny spark of how wonderful Krishna is. So we looked at chapters 7, 9, and 10, and now we're going to look at a few from chapter 15. Here Krishna says he's the splendor of the sun, the beauty of sunrise, the glory of sunset, the incredible brilliance at full noon, the splendor of the moon, the way the moon reflects on the water like diamonds, hanging like a pearl in the sky, and reminding us of Krishna's nighttime pastimes. The splendor of fire, how we all love to watch fire. Don't we like to watch the dancing flames of the fire? How he's piloting the planet. Normally, when we're in a vehicle, we can feel the movement of that vehicle. And somehow, this planet is moving faster than a rocket ship. We don't feel anything at all. How amazing is that pilot? The moon that gives the various tastes to all of our vegetables. The fire of digestion. This is also a wonderful thing to meditate on. Just like yesterday, I ate some rice, and now it's turned into my nose. Right? I had a chapati, and now it's a fingernail. How does Krishna transform rice into a nose and chapati into... How does he do that? He's an amazing fire of digestion. Oh, you guys are going to miss my special surprise. I'm going to have a special surprise in about 2 minutes here. And he joins with the air of life, moving the food from our mouth through our esophagus, to our stomach, to our intestines, and throughout our whole body. So now we're at Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 15. This is one of my family's favorite verses. Sarvasya chaham ridi sannivisto matasmatir ganam apohanam cha. So whenever anybody would lose anything, we'd say, chant 15:15. Right? So one of my kids would come, Mata, I can't find my socks. Chant 15:15. Sarvasya chaham ridi sannivisto matasmatir ganam apohanam cha. Oh, wonderful. So I was traveling once, and one of my friends said, Urmila, I can't find my phone. I said, well, just chant 15:15. So she started walking around the room saying, 15:15, 15:15. Okay, so now I told you I had a special surprise for you. Probably check that speaker. Is the speaker on? And where is it? Is it on and connected? Right now I'm connected to SRS. We're going to use SRS? Well, don't put it right next to me. Like, put it like this. It has to be that close? You want to use this mic?
like pearls rest on a thread. The taste of water, the life of all that lives, the nourishing light the sun always gives, the sound beneath the ability in man. All that exists, the best is what I am. When life on all life, the heat of the fire, the strength of the strong, free of lust and desire, the seed of existence, the prowess of man. These are some more ways to see what I am, what I am. These are some more ways, these are some more ways, these are some more ways to see what I am. I'm seated in the heart of all living beings. I'm the beginning, middle, and end of all things. The lights on the sun, whichever follows its course. And in living beings
somebody? What did you pick? Yes? Discussions where you're trying to know the truth. Yeah, so that one? Oh, very nice. Okay, yes. He's the life of all that lives. Yes. Yes, that sense of that everyone is having this sense, I am alive, I exist. Wonderful. Someone else? Yes? Beginning, middle, and end. Excellent, yes. The resting place. Excellent, yes. Oh, very nice. You can think of that whenever you're cooking or you're ironing or you're feeling hot. Yes, somebody else. Yes. Our ability. Yes, that's such a wonderful one to meditate on. Somebody else. I didn't find that in any of these verses, Prabhu. He didn't say that one. Maybe that's another chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that I'm not familiar with. Somebody else? The penance. Excellent. Yes. All the sound. Did you want to take the transcendental chant? That one. Okay. Excellent. Yes. 15:15. Actually, the person who said that was watching this the other day in Melbourne, and she wrote me a message, and she said, I'm so glad I'm providing entertainment for people all over the world. Yes. And everywhere we go, that Krishna is the abode, yes. I'm always home in Krishna, you know? Isn't that wonderful? Very wonderful. Okay, somebody else? That patience. Yes, excellent. How lovely. Letting go and knowing Krishna's in control. He's the master. And that's the verse, you know, also that other verse, 529, that when we know that, we have peace. Yes. Someone else? Most dear friend, yes. Okay, so those who'd like to go deeper, we have our book here. And here we have, the first part is about how Krishna's in earth, water, fire, air. And the next part is these verses that we just did, like taste of water from Bhagavad Gita. The splendor of the sun, the heat and fire. And this isn't the kind of book you have to sit and read cover to cover. I mean, you can if you want to, but you can just open it up anywhere and you pick a paragraph and then you meditate on that as your day. And we have a next section from the Bhagavatam, which we'll be speaking on. When am I speaking on that? No. That's another time. In some other place, some other part of Sydney, somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to be talking on that there, or you can see that online. This is from Krishna in the Bhagavatam, and this is our Bhagavatam section, how the trees are the hairs on his body. And then we have at the end, from the nectar of devotion, all of Krishna's 64 qualities, and how we can find these in the world. So this is a very nice way. Again, you just open it anywhere. This was an Amazon bestseller in the meditation category and in the Eastern philosophy category. And the illustrations are done by Nadia Mani. Some of you know her. She's a kirtaneer married to Amala Harinam. So she did all of our illustrations. So we have some of these left. And we have our book, Career Dharma, how to find out what is your nature. If you have children, how to help your children find out what their nature is so that you can have a career that matches your nature. And how to work in your career such that your career helps your sadhana and your sadhana helps your career. And everything is spiritual. And then we have a couple books on chanting Hare Krishna. We only have 2 left. We already sold most of those up at the farm. And we have one more copy of Manashiksha, which is How to Bring Your Mind to Vraja by Raghunath Das Goswami. So anybody who wants the book tonight, I'll be happy to sign them. Thank you very much. Anything that was good in this presentation is from Srila Prabhupada.